Boys and girls watching, today we are going somewhere different. We have been traveling to the jungle, but today we are going down to a pond. Have you ever gone to a pond, boys and girls? No. No? Well, it's kind of fun. It's fun to be at the pond. There's all kinds of things down there. You can go fishing in a pond. You can just go down and maybe have a picnic down by the pond, and you can find all kinds of things down there. Early in the morning, you might see some special bugs that you might see flying around. Oh, I like to watch these. Now, I don't like them to land near me, but I like to watch them fly around. This bug right here is called a dragonfly. What is that? A dragonfly. That's what it's called. It's called you've seen a dragonfly?
I did.
I have too. Okay, let me tell you some more things. It's called a dragonfly, and the dragonfly loves to be near a pond. So whenever you're down by a pond, you are sure to see a dragonfly. Oh, I see some more creatures we've learned about. What is that? Butterfly. Is butterfly an insect?
No.
It is. It's an insect, so that means how many legs does it have?
6.
It does. It has 6 legs. So, and the butterfly, it's flying around having fun just like the dragonfly. Now, I see something being very sneaky. Yes, he's being very, I don't either.
I do. I've seen 2 snakes.
You've seen 2 snakes? Well, I've seen snakes. I've seen snakes in the pond, down by the pond too, and I try to stay very far away from them. There's all kinds of snakes down there. But this little snake is being very sneaky. Maybe he's trying to come over here and get this animal right here. Do you know what that is?
Goose.
It's a goose. What is it?
Goose.
A goose. Yes, it's a goose. And that goose is just having fun, just coming and sitting in the water. Maybe he's looking for some food. Now, there are other birds called Canadian geese.
Geese.
It's a group of geese that come, and they are so pretty. And Canadian geese come, and they sometimes fly from the north, or they fly from the south, and they're coming and they're going all the time. And you know what? They like to just stop by at the pond and maybe catch some fish to eat on their way to and from the different places, because sometimes where they're from, it's cold. So they like to go where it's warm. And then when it gets too warm for them, they're going to go back where it's cold. So they like to travel. They're like little travelers. They like to go from place to place. And so they'll stop by a pond and they'll just stay there for a little while. Do you know this bird right here? This is called a heron. Say that with me. A heron. It's called a long-legged heron. And this bird, sometimes you might see him. In fact, on my way home yesterday, I was driving down the road, and there are some big, tall trees. And where the road kind of slumps down into right there where the grass grows, and sometimes there's water right there that catches from when it rains, there was one of these long-legged herons down there. And I told my boys in my car, I said, "Look, boys, look, there's a long-legged heron." And then I was so excited to find out that we were learning about it today. But he likes to just walk around, and he's really tall. So he walks around, and his legs are in the water, but his body's sticking way up high. And he just walks around looking at everything. Maybe he's watching the dragonfly. Maybe he's going to eat that dragonfly. And he's going to look for other bugs and things to eat, and then he's going to watch for those fishes that like to go by him. And then, oh, I see down here, oh, you know what? A pond, it's kind of like a great big pool. It's like a great big pool. Now, you could swim in a pond if you wanted to. I don't really like to swim in a pond because I just like to leave the pond for the fishes and the snakes and the bugs and this little thing right here. Do you know what that is? It is. It's a frog. Do you know the frogs? When the mommy frog lays her eggs, she lays them inside the pond down on a lily pad. Do you see right here? This is a lily pad. What is that?
Lily pad.
A lily pad. And the lily pad grows from underneath the water down in the bottom of the pond. And the long stem grows. And then up on top of the water is where the big, gigantic leaf is. And then the frog will lay her eggs right here. But do you know what? When the eggs hatch, little frogs don't come hopping out. Do you know what those are?
Tadpoles.
They are. They're tadpoles. Just like when we talked about the miracle that God does with the butterfly. When the butterfly lays the eggs, what comes out of the eggs first? An inchworm or a caterpillar. The caterpillar comes out. But when the mama frog lays her eggs, the tadpoles come out and they learn how to swim, and then they turn into a frog. God does another miracle there. Isn't that exciting? Well, do you see right here? There is a blackbird. What is that? A blackbird, that's right. And that blackbird, he just flies into the pond and he just goes and perches. That means he's just sitting there looking. He's looking over everything. And he likes to land on these very tall, big blades of grass. And these things right here, these are called cattails. What are they?
Cattails.
They call them cattails. I don't know why. I guess maybe they think they look like cattails. I don't know. I don't have a cat, so I don't know. But maybe it looks like your cat's tail. I don't know. But they're fun. They're fun to look at, and you will always find these down by the pond. And that blackbird will come, and he'll just swoop down, and he'll come in, and he'll land, and he'll just grab on one. And maybe that big, long branch will just kind of go back and forth, and he's just sitting there, and he's watching everything, and maybe he's watching that dragonfly, or maybe he's watching that snake who's watching that goose right there. I don't know. Maybe he just gets a bird's eye. Maybe that's where they get that, a bird's eye view, because he's looking around and seeing everything that's going on at the pond. Oh, maybe he's watching some fishermen down there trying to catch the fish, because look, there's a fish right here. Oh, look at this. This is called a sunfish. What is that?
Sunfish.
A sunfish. And I see, there's a little black bug swimming in the water. There's a little black bug, and he's swimming in the water. Maybe that fish is going to come, and he's going to come and eat that little black bug, and then maybe that bird is going to swoop down and eat the fish. I don't know. Sometimes that just happens. Or maybe that long-legged heron is going to be eating that fish soon too. And there's all kinds of other creatures that you might find at the pond. But lots of things grow down there. Lots of things like the lily pads and the cattails, and lots of insects and creatures like to be down there too. They just like to be down there. They like to go swimming. They like to have fun down there. They like to be there. Those geese and the goose, they just like to flap their wings in there and get all wet, just like when you play in the water. Don't you like to splash in the water? And maybe your friends go, stop splashing. Or mommy says, stop splashing, you're getting me wet. But they do. They like to take their wings and splash and get all wet, just like you do. Oh, it is so much fun to be down at the pond. So what is this?
A blackbird.
A blackbird. And what was that?
A dragonfly.
A dragonfly. And do you remember what this was?
Geese.
A goose, that's right. And what is a lot of goose? If there's a group of them, what are they called? Geese. A geese, that's right. And if they're coming from somewhere really cold, they're called, do you remember the cold ones that come in?
No.
They're called Canadian geese. What are they?
Canadian.
Canadian geese. And they're so cold, and they're going to come fly in, and they are coming to get to be nice and warm down here at the pond. Now, you would think the pond would be cold, but not always, especially if it's hot outside. The pond's not going to be too cold, so that they can have fun down here at the pond and go swimming. And what are these plants that grow from underneath and come up? Do you remember? The frogs like to play on them.
Lily pads.
Lily pads, yes, lily pads, and they're so fun to look at. Sometimes they get really big. I've seen really, really, really big ones. They're bigger than the table. Boys and girls watching, I don't know how big your table is that you're sitting at, but our tables, I've seen them even bigger than our tables. They're big. And I've seen itty tiny, itty bitty ones, and I've seen great big ones for those frogs to be hopping around on. Oh, it's so fun. But there's lots of things that we can learn down at the pond. Isn't it neat how we learned about creatures and living things that live in the jungle? And then we can go and travel to a pond and live and see things that live down there that are different. Aren't you glad that God made all different kinds of things that we can learn about? I am. Maybe, boys and girls, you live by a pond. Maybe you have a pond in your backyard. If you live on a farm, sometimes you will have a pond there. And maybe you get to see these creatures all the time, and that's really, really fun. You know what another creature I like to see, and we don't have it on here, but I like to see at night, to go down at the pond and find lightning bugs. Have you ever seen lightning bugs?
No.
Oh, they're so fun. You can take a glass jar and a lid, and you can be out there catching them, and you catch a lightning bug, and you can see them at night, and you just see them, and they're like little flashes of light. And that's why they're called lightning bugs, because it's like when the lightning flashes, and then it goes off, and then it flashes again, and it goes off. That's what a lightning bug will do. And then you could catch them, and you could take them home, and you could leave the lid on them and put them on your dresser, and you'll see them and they'll go until they die. But they're really fun to catch and see at night, seeing those little flashes of light, like little fireworks at night. They're so fun. But it's fun to be at the pond. Boys and girls watching, I hope you had fun visiting the pond today, and I hope you love learning all these different creatures that God has made.